Hey Dale, I thought I'd just talk you through your wish list and sort of give you some insight into what it entails and what it means and what you're asking. Because coming from the bubble world, you probably, everything's very easy and the tooling's very straightforward. And in Supabase world, things are a little bit different. And I thought before we kind of go too far down the road, let's just sort of check we're on the same planet. So, the way Supabase, just talking about your users will be in Bubble. So, what the implication of that, and that's the right thing to do, obviously, because you don't want to make too many massive changes to an app that's running. But for the most optimal workflow usage way of working, your users run in Supabase, and then when users authenticate, it never touches Bubble. There's no users in Bubble. They authenticate to something that runs in the Bubble page, and then the communication is between the browser and to Supabase. Nothing ever touches Bubble. That is how you can get sort of near zero Woo usage. The use case we're talking about here is what we do is we connect to Supabase. And this is what Supabase looks like. We connect to Supabase via a REST API using a token, and that would be done via the API connector, and you would connect to Supabase and you pull back the data. And obviously, because it's going through the API connector, that will take workflow usage. So, and then because it's going through the API connector, then you'll be able to use your Bubble users to do the permissions on getting access to that data in Supabase, because obviously row-based privacy rules that exist in Bubble won't apply to data stored outside of Bubble. And the second part to that is row-based authentication, which is how Supabase works. They only apply to Supabase users, not to the token. So you've got these two kind of things fighting each other. One is, if I have my Bubble users in Bubble, then I can't use row-based authentication in Supabase, and I have to use the token. And if I use the token, it goes through the through the API connector, and then it has workflow usage. There's something to think about there. And then, in regards this pagination for 17 things, that's purely a UX thing. But obviously you're going to ask Supabase to say, please tell me for these IDs for these songs, because the songs are going to be stored in Bubble, somehow we've got to keep these preferences. This song ID was liked by this role and this role this number of times on this date. So there's a table. You create a table in Supabase, create a new table, and you design that table to hold the data as per the requirements that you desire. And so step one would kind of be designing this table. Step two would be by thinking about the requirements and deciding what we're going to store in this table and how we're going to access this table, how we're going to secure this table. So these are all the sort of considerations you'd apply to designing the table. It's not complicated. I can imagine it would only have a song column for an ID, and that song column ID would come from your Bubble database, and you'd have an ID for the client, the artist, the like, stuff like that. So